Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Cheryl. Today I'm going to be sharing a project with you that I started about 6 months ago, and I just got sidetracked with other journals. And this is for Julie and her Etsy store, The Old Design Shop. And I used her Raggedy Ann and Andy digital kits, and also some of her vintage ephemera sets in addition. So with this one, I ended up buying an antique book, and it was, you know, kind of musty, and the edges were very worn, and you know how that goes with old books. So what I did for the cover is I inked the edges because they were kind of more of a whitish color from being roughed up over the years, and then I sealed it with some polyurethane, and now it just kind of has a scent of ink and the polyurethane, so that musty odor is definitely gone from the book. I decided to go with and try a 3-ring binder type closure for this book. And then I attached one of those little heart pendants. I bought a bunch of them, and I just love those. So let's take a look. I've also made a little teeny one. I had hoped to put it in, but it just made it too bulky, so I just thought I'd include it alongside. But I'll show you what that looks like inside in just a moment. Here we have, this is part of the original book. And I thought this bright colors went well with Raggedy Ann and Andy. This has just been printed on some aged paper, and she has, I think, 2 Raggedy Ann and Andy kits, and they are located under the Vintage Ephemera set, and then if you go under the ATC set, and she has a set of like 9, which I'll point out as we go through it, and her prices are like 50% off right now, so it's a great time to take advantage of the sale. Here I used one of her images. Hopefully there's not too much of a glare. I printed it out on presentation film like you would use for an overhead projector. I just thought it was kind of pretty, and you can do a flip up. This, I believe, is all vanilla aged paper. Put a little piece of the aged measuring tape. And this is one of the original book pages. This book, it was originally from 1930s. And that's why I really couldn't reproduce any of them, you know, because that would be against copyright laws since it's only 89 years old. So I would consider this vintage. To me, an antique is over 100. I know you'll hear me say vintage, antique, you know, all over the place, but that's how I determine whether it's vintage or antique or collectible. This is some vintage ledger paper, and this is that set that she has that has 9 ATC cards that you can print out. Oh, and this was one of her images too. I printed it out and then just punched a decorative edge and put some washi tape on that. Another one of those 9 ATC cards. Another one, and I've used them as little tuck spots. This is a vintage glassine envelope. They're very fragile, so whoever ends up buying this will need to be careful because they do rip fairly easy. Some blank aged music paper. Oh, I've added some tabs, and after I post this video, I do have a tutorial on how I make my fabric tabs, and I will post that immediately after posting this video. And here's another one of her pretty images. I love this scene, sneaking out the window. I only did that once growing up, and I learned my lesson. So here we have Raggedy Ann in a tree, little birds thinking that her hair is some worms. Raggedy Andy. And another one of that, I just, instead of printing it out or cutting it out individually, I just left it as a little page. Put some washi. It's a vintage playing card. A little tuck spot. Here's another one of her Raggedy Ann and Andy set. I just put some aged notebook paper. This is just some writing practice. It says fame, famine, fame, and fortune. Another one of the set of 9. Just love those. Another page of the original book. Another tuck spot. This I just made a little journaling card. Another page from the book. Another one of Julie's. I just backed it onto some more aged notebook. This is some vintage pharmacy log book. This came from a pharmacy in town. A friend in town that owns a antique shop gave me a bunch of those, so I thought it might be fun to put in here. And another one of the images. I just sewed around it. Blank music. Here we have, this is a vintage ephemera piece that she had, and I just printed on the back side some aged paper, and that's from one of her kits too. I just turned it into a pocket. They're all different shapes, which is nice, so you can use them for all different things. Here I've included a kids flashcard, and these are some vintage library catalog cards, and they were relating to like schools and stuff, so I put those in here. Another one of the pages from the original book. Again, another one. Here, this is a piece that I made. The top piece is an ephemera piece from Julie's, and Paper Harbor I had purchased some of her antique or vintage envelope, so I just attached it to this envelope. And this is a cute little image again from one of her kits, and so is that. I just made a little tuck spot. And a vintage card. And here I bought an embossing stamp for my logo, so I can start doing that in the books. Here's another one of her images on that presentation film. And another one of her images. I just love them. They're so pretty. I had to put washi up there because from the owner had marked it with some blue writing, so I covered it up. So, but that's it for the main journal. And this cute little book here is just, you know, soft cover. I used a pizza pan that had holes in it to give it more of a polka dotted effect when I coffee stained it. This is one of those vintage glassine sleeves, and I covered it with washi to reinforce it. I was really bummed out. I had hoped that those were going to be great and more durable, I guess. It's another one of her images. This I just turned into a little pocket, and inside it has just a little place for extra journaling. This folds out, some vintage ledger, some antique music paper. This I didn't open up, but you could do that. And here I've included a vintage flashcard, and that is it. I love that. I love that image. But I really appreciate you taking the time to check out my latest journal, and I will post this in my Etsy shop tomorrow, I think around noon. So if you're interested in buying it, it will be there, and go over and take a look at Julie's shop and take advantage of her sale. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Bye, everyone.